Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gaiman. This is your Wyndham Championship preview, storylines, matchups, and best bets. And oh yeah, we are going 4 wide for this one. Let's bring the boys in. First and foremost, Mark Immelman. Mark, are you headed to Greensboro this week?
I am tomorrow morning. And you know what? I love the red eye, but I hate the red eye. I mean, I love getting home. But yesterday was a complete washout. I was like a zombie the entire day. That the whole adrenaline from the PGA Championship last week sort of wore off. I got limited sleep on the flight, and so we're sort of trying to bounce back right now.
Yeah, the red eye's nice for time, not nice on the body the next day. Greg DuCharme also here. What up, Greg?
All good, man. I'm excited. Another great this week. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, Rick. This week brings out great storylines every time. So I'm excited, especially looking forward to today.
Kyle Porter also joins us. Kyle, this is the week where the FedEx Cup point means more than ever.
Oh, I've been just on pins and needles all year for this. I'm bummed today. College football getting canceled. We need a big Wyndham. We need a Spieth win is what we need. That's what I really
might see college football before that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Wow. That's a good bet. What happens first? A college football game or Jordan Spieth wins a golf tournament?
You guys are awful. This is awful.
Oh, that's so good.
You should make that your prop thing on CBS, right?
Yeah, I don't know if we have enough time. What, we just last forever? like when does this get graded? Like it could be a while. I don't know. Let's jump into this. Don't forget, we're on YouTube. Check us out on YouTube at First Cut Pod. Same on Twitter and Instagram. And gentlemen, I want to start with our segment presented by Volvo, driving the tour. And I mentioned it at the top. KP, we'll start with you. Nothing driving the tour this week like FedEx Cup points, because that little green trophy that we see on screen for the last 8 or 9 months, this is where you see it move around. And this is where one shot really is going to determine who makes the playoffs next week and who is the odd man on the outside.
Yeah, it is. You know, I was looking at it this morning, and there's not a ton. Sometimes there's some like super interesting names around the 125. This year it's, I don't know, Sergio's right there. That's probably the biggest name, I guess you would say, kind of around that number. And usually it's a bigger deal, right? Because we're talking about whether you keep your card or not. That's not the case this year because everybody's keeping their card because of the pandemic. But the thing that's interesting is you've got a bunch of guys that are kind of mainstays at the Tour Championship that are like in the 90s, in the hundreds. It's like Fowler, Koepka, Spieth. They're all like they're around 100, all three of them. And so only 2 of those guys are playing this week, but there's certainly, I think there's more East Lake implications at this event than there has been at past Wyndham Championship. So I think that part of it is pretty interesting, especially with, the 3 playoff events that we have coming up.
Yeah, Fleetwood also in that mix of names between like the 80s and 90s. And Mark, we joke that this is your favorite currency, but there really is nothing that illustrates every shot mattering like what you're going to see this week. And a shot that took place in February, it counts the same this week. It's just going to feel a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you say that, and I think back to the Tour Championship a few editions ago, not last year when they had that scoring modification, but you had Steve Sands in front of his whiteboard with a marker trying to figure out the points ramifications.
Yes.
It was nuts. And someone's fate was being decided on what could essentially have been a shot. And Colin Morikawa said as much in post-round comments last week after the PGA win. And someone asked him a question, and he was to the effect of, he goes, I've just learned throughout my career to respect each and every shot, whether it's a 3-inch putt or a 300-yard drive. And the way these points, because look, there've been many iterations of this FedEx Cup and how the points are distributed and how the playoffs go. And I think they've got the thing to a place now where it's pretty accurate. And when you start getting down to the final 30, they've worked it in a way where it's pretty well, bar one or two folks, the top 30 players of the season. And you'll ordinarily see that the top guns sort of be vying for the FedEx Cup at the end of it all. But this week is always fun. I mean, Sedgefield's a great course. We'll talk about it in a bit. And to Carl's point, it's always so fascinating to watch, the guys from 120 to about 130 on that FedEx Cup points list coming down the stretch over there. You make a timely birdie, you play your way in, you're on 124. And I've been there in scoring when there's a guy from the tour, Tom Alter, who comes up for the event. And he advises these guys, okay, this is where you're projecting. And Tom is the busiest guy in the place that week, telling folks, well, you've got to finish here and you've got to do that and you can afford not to play. And it's a fascinating week at a great course with a whole lot on the line.
You're absolutely right that generally by the time we get to East Lake, the cream has risen to the top. You usually get the top 30 players, although the monkey wrench this season, Greg, is all the events that we missed. So when you look at the top 30 right now, like if we're not at East Lake, obviously, but if we were at East Lake right now, there would be some interesting names in the mix, and there would be even more interesting names on the outside looking in. Patrick Cantlay on the outside looking in, Gary Woodland on the outside looking in, Tiger Woods, all the guys we mentioned down in the 80s to 90s, still plenty of work left to do, but the shortened season has really altered the look of our FedEx Cup standings so far to this point.
Well, it has a huge effect on the big names that haven't necessarily won, right? And the reason for that is the wraparound season, like last fall, has taken a huge jump. It has become significantly more important in this FedEx Cup playoff season. This is why you referenced Lanto Griffin, Rick, before the show. Lanto Griffin's he's gonna make the Tour Championship. He's gonna be like 500 par starting off because of all the success he had during the wraparound season and into kind of the West Coast swing. So that area of the season has become really important, and most of the big name guys will play somewhere between 1 and 3 usually it's 1 or 2 events during that time. They'll play a WGC and maybe one additional event. And that's really it. So the number of events that guys have played, like Joaquin Niemann, for example, he's played 19 events already. He's been playing a lot. He played a lot during the fall. So that definitely is a huge effect. But what I also find really interesting is during the playoffs, the points quadruple, and there's a ton of movement. So it really is, after this week, there's kind of almost a reset where anything can happen. The guys up top definitely have an advantage, but you win, you can shoot up that leaderboard. And there are a lot of guys in that 100 mark who have the ability of winning, as Kyle mentioned.
I keep forgetting the Tour Championship is handicapped. It cracks me up every time. I think the big point there is that there's no major, or there's only one major, so you don't have this opportunity. I mean, we get these just unbelievable leaderboards at majors, and it's where you see the guys that maybe don't play as often, kind of the superstars, like show out, like they show who's really playing well, right? And so because we've had 3 majors wiped out for this season, you're going to get kind of a wonky, like, top 30 going into the playoffs. And yeah, we look at the leaderboard last week at Harding Park. Like, that's the type of player that accumulates points at a major championship, and you're not getting that at 3 majors this year.
You know what, Cal, that's a good point. I'd actually like to look at who the 30 are right now if it ended. I'd like to check that out, because I start to get the sense that the cream is rising to the top. I know Koepka and company are outside, but you give them a couple of weeks and I wouldn't be surprised if they play their way in. I just want to right now, because you pointed out something to me. I forgot that our one and done league is not a FedEx Cup points thing. Because I normally make hay when I save all the bullets for the last 4 weeks and I get quadrupled points, but now that's not happening. So I'm quite dejected.
You should read the fine print.
I never do, man. Gee whiz.
You got to read the local rule sheet before you go play.
I never did that either.
That's a DJ mistake right there.
I left my yardage. I think my yardage book's at the bottom of my bag somewhere.
For sure.
I love it. Mark, let's talk about Sedgefield Country Club. It is a classic Donald Ross design. What can we expect? What should we look for? What do we got going on this week?
You know what? I love it. This one and East Lake are 2, in my opinion. Look, there's so many great courses on the tour, but I love these 2. This is the only Donald Ross course that's left on the PGA Tour schedule. you know, all the originals way back in the day. You had a bunch of these courses. But Sedgefield, you know, Donald Ross, obviously prolific. A lot of his great work was done in this North Carolina area. And Sedgefield, it's undulating. It's like Augusta National, got lots of undulating greens. It's not very long. I was on the same flight home on Sunday night as Webb Simpson, who's made a personal paradise of the place.
Were you flying on net jets with Webb?
No, sir. He was on Delta 2176 with me. And so it challenges you around the greens. I mean, you walk in there, it's got this beautiful tour clubhouse, and then there's a trophy wall, and you get there's 6 Sam Snead plaques on there because he's owned this event. And it's the sort of place where, like last year, JT Poston gets around there without a bogey, which was superhuman. But a few years before, Davis Love at 51 wins. And so it's a respecter of game, because you've got to hit everything around there, and you can't really fake your way around the place. Now, Webb mentioned to me that it has been quite wet, you know, because we've had a bunch of rain here in the south. So that may change things, but typically the folks who play well at Wyndham are the folks who play well that week. You can't go in there with a title going, well, I'm the leader in the FedEx Cup points. That means nothing around there, because if you hit the ball on the wrong side of the hole, you're going to play defense. If you play out of the rough, it's not thick, but it's just enough Bermuda to really catch up with you. It's a good spot. And then I just love the way it sets up. You know, the front 9 is a beautiful mix. It travels through the hardwoods and stuff. And the backside opens up a bit more. And then you've got 16, the par 5, which is reachable. Then you've got, 15. Then 16 is a downhill 3, which we've seen aces there in the final round. We've seen doubles there in the final round. 17 is a funky par 4 where it's still originally Donald Ross, because there's a huge ditch kind of furrow down the middle of the fairway, which was drainage. And you can see the old school design because every green is elevated, and that was drainage in the old days, right? So this thing, they haven't reworked it and filled in the fairway. It's still there. So you can hit in the fairway and be like a hugely uneven lie with a ball well below your feet. You can make 3 there. And then 18 is a converted par 5. Members play it as a 5. It's like 480. You travel downhill, and then you hit a medium to long iron off a severely downhill lie to a green that's way above you, just loaded with undulation. And if you've got to make a 4 to win, there's no guarantee. My second ever event in broadcast was radio there, and I was calling Patrick Reed coming in. And Jordan Spieth came in just before him. It was in the forward group, and Jordan made this 40-footer. You can probably go and find it on YouTube, where this thing curled about 12 feet from left to right to make a 4 to post. I mean, it was a typical Jordan Spieth par. And then Reed hits it in there about 10 feet above the hole, that to win, misses, then they go extra hole. So if you on that hole on Friday afternoon and you've got to make a 4 to make the cut, you've got your hands full. If you're there on Sunday afternoon and you've got to make a 3 to tie, you've really got your hands full. So so you've got to attack in the right places, and then you just got to survive 18. And I really love the course for that.
Webb flies publicly?
I know he flies privately, but
all that is what Kyle took out of that great Donald Ross discussion and the course and how it sets up. And Kyle goes, Greg?
No, I'll be honest with you, I was shocked. I was sitting in the airport and I walked toward the gate, and Mark, and I turned around, I sort of double tooked. I'm like, Webb, what are you doing here? And he goes, yeah, meet my buddy who was caddying for him for the week because Tesori was out with a bad back. Apparently he's supposed to be back this week. Yeah. And Webb shared a story too. Yes, some insider trading for you DFS guys.
We're ready.
He said to me, you'll never get this. I'm like, what now? He goes, last week, I had like an event where I made a swing and I felt my rib kind of go a little bit. So he was battling with a bit of a rib injury the entire week. Wow. He didn't pop it back into place like Woods did with his thumb, but he was playing with an injured rib.
Did he say is it better? Yeah. Is it better now?
Not going to tell you that because I'm betting on him this week.
Okay.
Yes,
it sounds like it is. Remember when Tiger healed himself at the 15?
Well, that's what I was saying at the Masters. He just popped it back into place.
That was like Resurrection Sunday at Augusta. It was unbelievable.
I remember Rinaldi in the interview just goes, "Oh, really?"
No, it wasn't Rinaldi. It was
was it?
Bill McAtee.
Oh yeah, he goes, "Oh yeah."
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. There was no. How is there not a follow up? He healed him. He healed himself. He healed his
I
wrist.
think he was completely overcome, probably.
It's unreal.
Silence.
I thought Kyle was following. Or was that the
No, I'm
follow? That was
just-
it. Oh, Greg, go ahead, Greg. I know you had something about the course.
Oh yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts, Rick. Do you think we're going to see somebody come down that 18th hole with a chance for 59 again?
So it's funny that, I mean, historically this has been a very low scoring event, right? We've seen winners in, minus 21, minus 22. Obviously the Brandt Snedeker 59 in the opening round, was that 2 years ago at this point?
He finished on the 9th though. He didn't finish on 18.
There you
The
go.
back 9 first.
Right.
So, I don't think so, Greg. I mean, listen, it takes all types of things for that to happen. We've seen a couple of low rounds. I think Adam Svensson shot a 61. That was the lowest round last year. I think of all places, this might be a place to shoot a 59, but I don't think it's remotely likely.
If it's as soft as what Webb's saying, you'll see it, because for it to really play to its personality and those greens to become kind of nasty, it's got to be firm and fast, like most golf courses. And if the place is soft, they just get to play some target practice. And if you're hitting the ball well, then you can score.
And speaking of aces, this is one of the few events. So the line set for number of holes in one in this event is 2. Usually you only ever see it for 1. That's it. 1 is a big favorite. 1 is like 70% favorite. 2 is the line.
There was a couple of years ago that someone made an ace on 16 and won like 100 million Wyndham reward points or something silly like that, huh?
I wonder if they've cashed them in yet.
Yeah.
Flying around. Greg, let's go to you, because you mentioned, Sedgefield. Can it offer up a 59? We saw Snedeker do it, but there's this argument we've kind of had this week, or this discussion around horses for courses versus recent form. And Brandt Snedeker is the poster boy for this week, because Snedeker's been awesome, obviously, here at the Wyndham, but not so great recently, and how we think he's going to do entering this week.
So this is a great one. And you actually brought this to my attention yesterday, Rick, because I struggle with this. I struggle with this all the time when it comes to handicapping events, right? You get a guy who's not playing very well, but they have a great record on the golf course, or vice versa. Is it something that bodes really well for him? And when you look at Brandt Snedeker, his scoring average for the year is 70.686. His scoring average at the Wyndham is like 67.41. It's crazy low. And a 59 goes a long way in helping that. But he's played here 12 times, and he has 6 top 10 finishes. He's won twice. The guy's a machine around this venue. And what interests me here is you have a guy who comes in at 96th in the FedEx Cup standings, who has been in a number of tour championships. He qualifies for that event all the time. Is he going to be able to make a little bit of headway? Is playing this week going to turn out to be a benefit for him because he plays so well here? And now he heads into a stretch where you hopefully have 3 playoff events in a row, followed by the first event of the next season, and then the U.S. Open. So how do you kind of manage that getting ready for the U.S. Open in terms of schedule? Is it more advantageous to play on the course that you think you're going to play really well at, or is it advantageous to kind of save yourself for playoff events with quadruple points? It's one of the reasons why I find it so interesting that Webb plays here every single year, even though he's a contender for the FedEx Cup every year as well. And Brandt Snedeker the same. So is this going to be an event that Brandt really pops off and get rounds back into form? And can this event spur somebody into a deep playoff run?
Well, I find it interesting, and Mark, I want to throw this to you real quick. I mean, I'm not necessarily a believer that a guy who's playing poorly shows up to a course that he's got good vibes at, and all of a sudden he can hit his driver or he hits his irons better. But I'll tell you, I think players think they can. I think players, when they get somewhere that might fit their eye, might fit their shot shape, they can almost will themselves into playing better. So I think I might have a blind spot for this when it comes to kind of, recent form versus course history, because I think the players believe it.
It's a really good argument, and you bring up a good point. But I will tell you this: typically, even if you're playing poorly, if you come back to a place where you've had success, that means something about the place fits your game. And a lot of times with these guys, unless you're certain people, you've got a one-directional miss going on. So lines off tees, you're like, well, I can avoid this side here because my golf shot tends to peel in this direction. So certain golf courses like draws or fades, and then other golf courses like Spieth has said so. He says that if he gets to a place where it's uneven, he's got to play more creatively and use imagination, and it gets him out of the golf swing mode and mentality. So there might be that's brought to bear. But a lot of it for me is greens reading. Everyone talks about a guy being a bad putter. It's not that you're not a bad putter. Most times you're not reading greens well. And if you've been to a place where you've had success, you see lines better. You can figure out break and grain and stuff on greens. And so that has a way of flowing its way through the bag. And for Sneds, the golf course isn't too punitive off the tee. So he can hit that sort of rolling hook that he does a little bit. And then if he gets the ball on the putting surfaces the way he putts, it could be open season. So you never really know. So I'm a big one for momentum. I feel like a guy who's playing well can play well anywhere. But if a guy's playing badly, when he gets back to a place where he's been well, it spurs that good feeling inside of one. And so it helps you realize that you don't suck as badly as what you might be thinking. And it's real. And then all of a sudden you make a few birdies and then you're right back in the saddle, in a blink of an eye.
Look what happened to Jason Day after going back to Memorial. Right, he got 2 weeks in a row at Memorial and nearly ends up a major champion just a few weeks later.
I also hit a rolling hook, by the way.
It must be a Texas thing, huh?
It just rolls and hooks a little bit more than the Snedekers.
KP, this is interesting. Jacob has us with 8 defending champions this season have missed the cut in their title defense, which is obviously only one event, and there's a lot more that goes into it when you're trying to defend your title. But I don't know. This is, to me, one of the more interesting conversations, whether, handicapping aside, guys that are not playing well, trying to show up at a place they've had good success. Like it's almost more mental, I feel like, than physical.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm more. I think I used to be like, whenever I looked at picks and figuring out who I wanted, I think I used to look at more at course history, but I've been drawn toward the side, and I think this is where you are, Rick, probably. I don't know, and Mark just said it, but more toward the side of like, are you hitting it well or not? And that seems to have more correlation with, are you going to play well in any given week? I think there are exceptions to that. I think Augusta National is an exception because it's so nuanced. And so courses that you go to over and over that are nuanced like that, I think can be exceptions. We've seen Tiger go into Augusta and have no form and finish in the top 25 or top 20 or whatever. So, I think I've been pulled to the side of like, hey, how'd you hit it last week and the week before that? That's a little bit the Jason Day argument of late. I don't know. Is that where you land, Rick?
Yeah, I'm certainly on. I draw a line between course fit and course history. Now, sometimes they overlap, right? Because if you're a good course fit and it fits your shot shape and your eye, you might have good results there. So I draw the line better on course fit and recent form than just saying, oh, this guy won here twice in the early 2000s. He's going to be able to revitalize that when he gets back. And
to that point, like that makes sense, because I was looking at some of the characteristics of Sedgefield, and it's essentially, this was on Data Golf, but it's essentially a place where driving accuracy matters more than most.
Yep.
And iron play matters more than most. Guess who's really accurate off the tee and unbelievable with his irons?
Webb
Simpson. And it's also a place that kind of matches up at least philosophically or statistically with a place like Muirfield Village. And I'll get to that later on in my picks, but I totally hear you, and I'm with you on course fit rather than course history. But even though the two do, they can overlap, like we've seen with Webb.
Yeah, it's funny you say that the data says that this course lacks accuracy off the tee. The place is wide, man. It's a typical Donald Ross course that more rewards you putting the ball on the correct side of the fairway to access a certain hole location.
But isn't that a form? I mean, isn't that accuracy?
Yeah, but I've seen lots of guys play well out of the rough there. You know, if you miss, it's your typical place where if you play smart and you miss the ball in the right places, you can recover. And if you then you catch a little purple vein of form and you make a few birdies in a row, all of a sudden you 64 or 5 kind of thing. That's what that course represents to me. But I see what you're saying. If you hit your irons well, because the greens have got a lot of movement on them. So if you're putting from 30 feet all day long, you're going to be working hard to two-putt a bunch of them. But if you're hitting the ball in there 15 feet and such, the right distance, your birdie attempts will be less complicated. Let's put it that way.
One thing Rick was saying on Tuesday was, or yesterday rather, was it favors not necessarily people who hit a lot of fairways that week, but typically they're accurate drivers of the golf ball as kind of their fingerprint, right? And so that speaks to what Kyle's saying, and what you're saying, Mark. You got to get the ball on the proper side. If you're an accurate driver of the golf ball, you can put the ball in the right half of the hole. Doesn't necessarily have to be in the fairway, right? It can be in the rough, but the right half of the hole is better than the left edge of the fairway. But you don't necessarily have to be hitting it well to understand how to score on a Donald Ross golf course. And I think that's what you kind of see with this course history versus playing well thing.
All right. That'll be a conversation we'll have probably countless times moving forward. But we are.
Wait. I've got to, okay. Forgive me. I've just got to say this. All right. Now, this is me going on a statistical rant. So I just quickly scroll through Twitter, and some guy puts out a tweet of Colin Morikawa's golf swing. And another dude goes pristine. And another guy goes gorgeous. Heard him say so-and-so, listen to his mentality. He's got a really great mind and a good swing, et cetera, et cetera. Then some dude goes, easy, reproducible, but he might want to add a little distance eventually. Has this guy ever gone to a golf tournament? Does he know how long Colin Morikawa actually hits it off the tee?
Don't do it, Colin. Don't listen.
You should not get lost in Twitter comments, Mark. It is an ugly place, my friend.
Bryson's hitting the ball a lot farther than him. So,
I mean, do you guys realize how long Colin Morikawa is without making it look like he's working hard?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just effortless.
Relative to the tour, he's short. I mean, it's all relative, right? Like, he's a lot longer than me.
I hope so.
Okay. But he averages like 290, which is
you could see it. You could see it on 16, right? Bryson's tee shot and Morikawa's tee shot landed probably 3-4 feet apart. They landed in almost the same exact place, but Bryson hit a 3-wood. Morikawa hit a driver. So it's definitely relative. I know Bryson's such an easy comparison.
Okay. When we get to do golf, I'm going to send a group of you tickets to an event. All right. And you're going to go walk with this dude and find out how far he actually hits it. Not what the statistics say.
I mean, for sure. But again, it's all relative. Like, he's 107th on tour in driving distance. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, you could be hitting it 500 yards, but if 100 guys
what's the difference in yardage between 107th and 57th? What, 8 yards? 9 yards? Half a club? And you give him a 6-iron. I'll take him with his 6-iron versus your 8-iron every day and twice on Sundays.
For sure. But I'm just giving you like the statistic relative to everybody else. I agree with you.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I said it was a rant. Forgive me.
It's only 6 yards, Mark, so it's less than 8 yards.
It's not even half a club.
KP, we are just a few weeks away from the U.S. Open, which is kind of crazy.
Insane.
And tickets are getting punched, which is your storyline for the week. So we've seen a couple of guys get in the last couple of weeks. Mackenzie Hughes, Ryan Palmer at the Memorial, Adam Long, Michael Thompson, notoriously telling us Winged Foot was his favorite course in the world at the 3M Open. Berger gets in at WGC FedEx. I mean, this is ticket punching season.
Yeah, the sneaky one was Troy Merritt, Richie Werenski at Barracuda, because that kind of flew under the radar. We were kind of already on to PGA Championship. Shout out to Bill Belichick. But those two got in. And then the other two that flew under the radar, Cam Champ and Matthew Wolff. I mean, Matthew Wolff almost won the PGA Championship. Probably should have won the PGA Championship if he could make anything. He had 9 putts, and I don't want to hear it, Mark. He had 9 putts inside of, I think, 10 feet on Sunday for birdie or eagle.
Hey, Jake, on your soundboard, can you pull up the podcast from a few days ago, please?
You got to give me a little more heads up.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't know this was coming.
I was gonna say I don't think he
There
has
were
that one
3 in a row,
handy.
There were 3 in a row for him, for Matthew Wolff on like, I think 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
And it was like 7 feet, 8 feet, and 3.5 feet that he missed all of those. And right there, I mean, there's your 3 right there. So it definitely made a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, the point is, getting into the U.S. Open at Winged Foot is a huge deal, and I feel like we've, it's funny because I think in the lead up, my relationship with this has been the lead up to the Open Championship, where you're watching, coffee golf, like the early stuff, like the Irish Open, all the Scottish Open, all these different things, and it's like they sort of highlight, hey, this gets this guy into the Open Championship, which is a huge thing, and because we haven't done it before with the U.S. Open, because usually there's more like the local and regional qualifying. We haven't been paying attention to it, but I think it's a huge deal, especially in fields like this where there's so many guys that aren't already in the U.S. Open that could get in with a top 10 performance.
The Open Championship, yeah, it's usually on the leaderboard. It's usually like you can see it. It's got the little claret jug next to it, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is something here. Yeah, it's not as, I don't want to say public, or maybe it's just not as transparent with the U.S. Open.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, it just doesn't normally happen. Like we don't. The U.S. Open usually doesn't offer spots this way, but because they're not doing qualifying, they are giving them, and now we get to see Matthew Wolff and Cam Champ at Winged Foot.
Matthew Wolff's up to like 36th in the world. It is. So, I mean, that must have been a big jump for him at the PGA. It's a great point, because I'm really surprised that he wasn't in before the PGA.
I really think he was like, I mean, they decided it right before Detroit, right, when he almost won. So I think he was probably like 73rd, and he was was it top 70 or top 80?
I think it was 70.
I think 7. Yeah. So he was probably like 73rd, jumps up after Detroit, and then jumps up after PGA Championship.
Yeah, he jumped from 53rd in the world to 36th, Greg. So 17 spots last week. Winged Foot, dude. How excited are you for Winged Foot?
Me? Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Can't wait. I mean,
it's so sweet.
Yeah. Kyle's played it. It is just an awesome place. And I've gotten some inside reports. I haven't been able to get over there this year because of everything that's gone on. My typical guest passes haven't been eligible this year. But I have gotten some.
Kyle knows a guy. Don't worry.
Really inside reports. The place is in awesome shape.
Kyle's got a guy who knows a guy.
No, I have no guys. I mean, I do, but he's
got a guy.
I want to ask you, Greg, just your favorite, and we'll get on to Wyndham, but just your favorite kind of like feature or nuance, because I think you talk about these courses and people are like, I don't know, like what's the difference? They all look green and like slopey, and like what is it about Winged Foot that makes it just a really cool, unique course?
So there's a big difference between the biggest difference between a place like TPC Harding Park or a Bethpage Black, which are great golf courses, and Winged Foot. It's in the green complexes, and the green complexes at Winged Foot elevate it to a status that, like Augusta National, it's the green complexes, right?
Yeah.
And bunkering's a big deal too for beauty, which Winged Foot has some of the best bunkering out there. But the green complexes they control the entirety of the rest of the hole. They demand you to play a hole a certain way to access a certain hole location. So you're going to see the ball on the green getting played past the hole to come back to it. You're going to see guys that are short-sighted who play it all the way across the green, and it turns around and comes back and they hit it to 3 feet. There are opportunities to be creative out there, especially in short game. And if you can see shots around the greens, one of the reasons why Phil Mickelson was successful there, if you can see and understand these green complexes, you can really you can hole a lot of putts. You can get up and down from some crazy places, but it demands creativity, and it's very unique in that aspect. And in the coming weeks, we'll talk way more about it.
Quickly, do you think the USGA will let players use that creativity, or are they going to make the green so firm that you won't be able to hit one behind a hole and bring it back?
Oh, I think the firmness of the greens actually will increase the need to use that.
Oh, okay.
I think it'll become right, because there are some spots where you won't be able to, but I'm talking more when you get hole high. Like if you play wing foot and you're from the front edge of every green, if you hit it to the front edge of every green, you can make a lot of pars pretty easily. But when you start getting on the sides of the greens, you start missing hole high off on the edges, it gets crazy, and you'll have to play it to the back of the green to get to a front hole location sometimes. So you're going to see a lot of uniqueness. Whereas at Harding Park, it was much more straightforward. It was right in front of you. You didn't see the ball on the ground for many reasons. You didn't see the ball on the ground kind of on that journey that you're going to see this week. And so there's a margin for error that's going to be demanded because of that setup that you mentioned, Mark. And it's going to be a fun viewing experience. It's not going to feel unfair, I don't think. I think it's going to feel really fun. So I can't wait.
All right.
So,
go ahead, KP.
Well, I was going to say what it's going to take is maybe being the most precise, best iron player in the world. If Morikawa wins all three this year, is that the slam?
Yeah, sure. The Morikawa slam.
Justin Ray said it's the Hogan slam, which was just
because he couldn't play one. That's
on point.
Right.
Yeah, so good.
So good. All right, we're going to turn our attention to the Wyndham Championship, do some matchup picks, do our expert picks, one and done leans, and best bets. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. All right, boys. Matchup picks. I believe KP's rocking the belt. Is that right? Yes, I'm getting a head nod, so that is right. So we're going to start with you, Kyle, here. You've got to go first for our first matchup, which is Webb Simpson. I've heard he likes this place. -125 versus Brooks Koepka at +100.
If Brooks Koepka shoots 74 in the final round at Harding Park and then wins Wyndham, then nothing. Like, I believe in nothing, because that is just not what he does. So I'll go Webb.
I will also go with Webb. Greg, who will you go with?
Webb.
Oh, Mark, you can make it a clean sweep of Webb's, or you can take Brooks.
He's named his daughter after the event. I'm going Webb.
Clean sweep of Webb's, which certainly means just don't send this to Brooks, Jacob. We'll be in trouble for this. Paul Casey -125 versus Justin Rose. Greg, we'll start with you.
I think Justin Rose is on the rise. I think he's starting to find something. He was the forgotten guy in the mix last week. I'm gonna go Justin Rose. I also think it was a really emotional week for Paul Casey. His best finish in a major, flying back across the country. I know everybody's doing it, but I feel like it might be a little much for Paul Casey. I like Rosie here.
Both of these guys putted significantly better than their normal expectation. Rosie was outside of his mind. I'll take Paul Casey. Mark, who will you take?
I'm going Casey.
KP?
Yeah, Casey. He is putting just atrociously, which you guys know I love. So I'll go Paul Casey.
Well, incidentally, Casey's had a couple top 20s and a third at Sedgefield, if memory serves. So
yeah,
I mean,
he was top 15 last year.
Around you.
Yeah, he's good. He's good there.
Greg is on Justin Rose Island. So Greg, we'll start with you here. Patrick Reed -125 versus Tommy Fleetwood.
Patrick Reed here. I like the better putter here on this golf course.
I also have Patrick Reed, who can just fill it up in a hurry. KP?
I'll go against the grain here and go Fleetwood. He never got it going on the weekend, really. You know, he was kind of like just hanging around a little bit, and you thought, oh, maybe he's the guy that's going to shoot 31, 32 on the back at Harding Park. It never clicked, but I think that we've seen since he's restarted, which was at 3M, that his game's kind of trending in the right direction. So I'll go Fleetwood.
Okay, Mark.
Fleetwood sort of let me down a little bit last week. But I'm not convinced about him on Bermuda greens. So with that being said, I'm going for Reed.
Next up is Ryan Moore, -125 versus Jordan Spieth. I'm going to take Ryan Moore. We did not see him play at the PGA Championship. There was a tweet that said he had a scheduling conflict. Did he not know when the PGA was? Got something better to do. I'll take Ryan Moore. I think this is a better setup for his game. He's got 3 top 25s in the last 4 years. Mark, we'll go to you.
A beautiful iron player, Ryan Moore. I know Jordan's been in the playoff there with Reed, and he's got some history there, but I'm going Moore.
Greg?
I'm taking a chance here. I'm gonna go Jordan, and I feel like he might have a little bit more freedom this week than the past couple weeks to kind of hit it all over the place. And And look, Jordan can make birdies, and I feel like he can find a way to avoid some of those big numbers this week. And I just haven't seen enough of Ryan Moore, so I'm going to take a chance on Jordan here.
Hey, everyone was making a big brouhaha about Haotong Lee's range time on Saturday afternoon. Did you see? Well, you should have seen Jordan on the range.
We did.
Day in and night out.
It was tough. It was a tough scene.
There's a difference between being the leader and playing like the round of your life and
Really?
being out there and really struggling and trying to find something. I mean, that's probably why Jordan doesn't get talked about in the same way. You just don't typically see the leader out there for that long.
Let's not forget that leader didn't play golf at all for about 4 months or whatever when China was in lockdown.
Yeah, and he did say he came in with no expectations.
Yeah,
so.
He's catching up.
Mark and I have Ryan Moore. Greg has Jordan Spieth. Kyle, who do you want?
I'm going Ryan Moore.
Woo! Mark the time.
Well, I'm trying to reverse jinx Spieth into a win here. He shot like a 79 here on Saturday. Well, he was MDF last year, which was not good. And I got to say, the Saturday round at Harding Park has me shook. I am officially shook after watching JT baptize him in the San Francisco Bay. It was not good.
Can I say getting rid of the MDF was the best thing to ever happen?
Yeah,
absolutely terrible. I hated that.
Yeah, it's dumb. I agree.
Although I got to tell you, there's a whole lot more calculation on a Friday afternoon now with 65 and tires making the cut.
Yeah, there certainly is. Next up, Brendan Todd versus Shane Lowry. Greg, who you got?
Look, I'm going Brendan Todd here. One of the best players in the world right now. I mean, he's been this season in the restart. He's been playing fantastic golf. So I love the guy. I think it's a good course fit for him, and he's been putting great, which is how he's been getting there. And I think this course really will benefit good putters. So I love Todd this week.
I will also take the Todd father. He is a guy, like, I like floors, high floors, and another top 20 last week at the PGA. Whether he crumbles on Sunday or not, he seems to find himself in the top 20. That is usually good enough to win a matchup with one other golfer. Lowry's been a lot more volatile, so I'll take Brendan Todd. Kyle, who would you like?
I think Todd.
That wasn't very convincing.
I thought for that.
Well, it's again, like, I think it's a place where his lack of length is not gonna be as big of a hurt as a place like TPC Harding Park, right? So he's been playing really well. I'll go Brendan Todd.
Mark, that leaves you with a chance to go on Shane Lowry Island, or you can join us with Brendan Todd.
Nah, I like to sometimes lone wolf it, but no, the greens at this place are pure, and Brendan Todd can roll it with the best of them. I'm going Todd.
All right, here is the kind of recent form course history argument. Sergio Garcia, although he putted poorly, missed the cut last week. Brandt Snedeker has shot a 59 here, obviously. Mark, we'll just stay right here with you.
Give me Garcia. He's sort of a little mercurial right now, although he's always like that. But he's even when things are grim in Sergio world, he just hits the rip out of the thing. And at this place where it's going to reward hitting irons the right distance and stuff, I think Garcia could make some hay.
Kyle Porter.
Yeah, I've got Sergio. I liked him going into Harding Park. He's got something to play for. He's outside the top 125 right now. He needs to get inside that 125 to make the playoffs. I think he missed the playoffs last year as well, or maybe it was the year before that.
He added this event late on Friday afternoon. He wasn't going to play. He added because he needed to get in the 125.
Yeah, so I like Sergio here.
I will also take Sergio. So, Greg, this is a chance, if you want it, to be on Brandt Snedeker Island.
I will take my Wyndham rewards and spend them on Brandt Snedeker Island.
Wow. What is that? What is that? A 2-star resort?
No.
Look, there's a guy from Wyndham on the line too for you. Huh?
This is a nice one. It's a nice one for Brandt. So I'm definitely going to take my chance. I do like Sergio this week. I don't have a problem with this Sergio play in DFS or anything like that. I'm gonna take a chance on Brandt here. I think he's gonna turn things around this week.
Next up, both -110. Billy Horschel, Kevin Kisner. Greg, we'll stay with you.
I'm going to go with Billy Horschel here. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, Rick, but he really does have a nice course history here. He's logged a number of top tens. He's playing pretty well, and he's a great putter. He can really fill it up. And this is the time of year where you see Billy Horschel really round into form, and he does play well in the playoffs. So he gets himself fired up for this time of year. That's why he's a FedEx Cup champion. He may be the kind of forgotten FedEx Cup champion. So I like Billy Horschel here this week.
This is I forgot what I was going to say because I was doing the Florida Gator chomp thing that Billy Horschel did when he won the FedEx Cup, and now I can't remember. So I'll take Billy Horschel because he grinds every single shot, and I like that. Mark, who you like?
He does do that. You can only win an event if you're in the weekend, and I think he's like 7 for 8 in cuts made in this place or whatever, and he has been playing pretty well lately and sort of under the radar too. And so, he's the kind of place that'll make lemonade out of lemons. And so I like Horschel around here.
This ain't no hobby for Kevin Kisner. Kyle, would you like to be the lone wolf?
Yes, Kisner Island. Let's do it.
Kisner Island, he's in. Our last one, Siwoo Kim versus Sung Jae Im. How about that? I am disgraced and upset to say I will take Siwoo Kim, who is a past champion. He finished 5th or 6th place last year. Sung Jae's game, not looking good.
Have you put the shoes on Craigslist yet?
Can you see the shoes right behind me here? I don't know how zoomed in.
It's awesome.
There's Sung Jae's WGC FedEx St. Jude shoes. Benny Ons. There's some, they're going down in value every tournament that he plays now. But no, they're awesome.
He's only 22. They're gonna shoot back up. Buy low. They're
never being sold, baby. Those are staying on the shelf. But I'll take Siwoo this week. Greg, who you got?
I'm going to go with Siwoo as well. I can't believe I'm saying that. I can't believe that they're even a matchup. I mean, right?
8 weeks ago, Sung Jae would have been minus 400 in this situation. Can you imagine this?
So Siwoo, you mentioned he played well last year, played well last week. I think all signs point his way. Sung Jae's got a little work to do.
Mark Immelman.
Typically, if you miss on the left side of the target around here, you're going to be okay. And I've been watching Sung Jae play lately, and he's been battling a bit of a pull shot. And come on, man, guys, this is the First Cut podcast. We cannot bet against Sung Jae, even if it's for something as prestigious as this weekly belt. I'm going for him.
I hope you are right. I'd gladly lose this one, KP.
I got Siwoo. I love it when Siwoo's kind of feeling it, and he's been playing really well of late. Sneaked into the top 10. Did he finish in the top 10? I know he was up there for a while on Sunday Producer Jacob is putting a different version of Siwoo's name into our sheet right now. Yeah, I like Siwoo here.
I don't think I can repeat that version. Greg, can I offer you $2,000 this week?
Yes.
Okay. Whew. The whole thing would have been blown if you said no. You can win $2,000 this week with no need to put any of your own money at stake. Just go to cbssports.com/golfprops to play. A link is in the description, so there is no excuse. Our full tournament game is now live, and this is a real question from that game. And it revolves, gentlemen, around Brooks Koepka and what he will do this week. So, Mark Immelman, we're going to start with you. And it's very simple. Where will Brooks Koepka finish at the Wyndham Championship? Either 8th place or better, or 9th place or worse?
I'm wrestling with myself here because I really don't know. I honestly don't. And I'll be flipping a coin. Wasn't it strange last week how I felt like there was a heavy dose of karma that just suddenly unloaded on Brooks on Sunday afternoon?
Yeah.
And look, he's been thoroughly entertaining, and him in major championships, it's a thing, right? But that 74, my brother was covering the group in the broadcast, and on like the 5th hole during the break, Trevor comes on and he goes, he doesn't have it today. He was lackluster. Ball was going everywhere. He actually grounded out a little bit for 74, whatever the case might be. And so I'm completely confused. I don't know what's going on. He would have been really up for that round. We saw that last week. Major championship. This is what he talks, right? Now you're playing at the Wyndham Championship. I don't think he's interested this week. So I'm going outside.
I'm also going to take outside. KP, I actually think that he held his Saturday round together with a couple of putts late. I thought he missed in some spots you can't miss. So I think even more than the 18 holes that he played pretty poorly on Sunday, I think his last 27 weren't all that great. I'm going to say he finishes 9th or worse.
Yeah, I think the thing that's a little concerning about Koepka, just from a statistical standpoint, is he's been hitting his irons really well. I mean, just lights out for like a month. But the driving hasn't been up to kind of what you would say are like his standards, right? And so I think you combine that with the fact that I think it's going to take a really good driving week at Sedgefield, and the fact that, if he loses the PGA and wins Wyndham, the universe is already upside down. So maybe that is what's going to happen. But I'm out. I'm 9th or worse.
Greg.
Okay, so I have some interesting things to say here, and I want to get your thoughts on this because I'm not 100% sold on it. But I'm gonna go inside here. Now listen, this is Brooks Koepka we're talking about. He played the Workday. He played the Memorial. He played the 3M Open. He played FedEx St. Jude Invitational. He played the PGA Championship. This is going to be his 6th week in a row before heading into, hopefully, 3 weeks of playoffs in a row. That puts you at 9 weeks in a row. And then you're going to take 1 week off before U.S. Open. I don't buy this. All Brooks Koepka cares about is majors. I think he's trying to find something. And if he was disinterested, he wouldn't be playing. He would take this week off. It does nothing for him. He's not going to get into Wyndham Rewards. There's no upside for him to play other than he wants to try to find his game. So I do think he cares. He has a brand new putting stroke. And I think this week is going to have a little bit less pressure than last Sunday. And when you take a brand new putting stroke or a brand new golf swing or a brand new short game technique out onto the golf course on Sunday of a major championship, you're asking it to perform at its highest level. And it didn't. It was a big struggle for him. And I know the full swing let him down too, but the putting really highlighted it to me. So I have concerns about that, but I think this week when the pressure is down, I think he's going to kind of find his groove with the putter. And I have a funny feeling he's going to perform well this week.
It's funny you bring that up. I was actually scanning through. I could not find anybody else who had played. Siwoo is like the only other guy who's played 7 straight weeks or something like that.
Maybe it's just this is a smokescreen. It's confusing me into saying he's going to play well. I don't know what I just said that leads to he's going to play well. I just find it so interesting. It doesn't make sense. He's gonna be hoping to play 9 weeks in a row.
Well, I think what you're saying is we believe Brooks plays well when he exerts great effort, and it seems like he's exerting great effort right now because he's playing so many weeks in a row. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to sum it up.
All right. Well, we're going to find out, but it's time for expert picks, the moment we've all been waiting for. Gentlemen, let's start with our sleeper. Mark, I saw yours just get into the outline right now. I think it's very interesting, and I would like you to tell me why you've picked this guy as your sleeper.
Because I still really don't understand what a sleeper means. That's
he's a sleeper.
I think Ches Reavie is a sleeper, right? Could he be a sleeper? And I would happily replace Furyk with Ches Reavie.
Yeah, Reavie's 55-1. I think we said anybody who is 40-1 or longer is a sleeper. So Ches would count, or you can have Jim Furyk, who is who you have. So you can pick right now.
What's Furyk's odds? I hadn't got to look at these things.
70-1.
No, then I'm taking, well, look, Furyk, I've got a lot of respect for. As I said earlier, I like this golf course because it lets anybody play. And if you're playing well, it's very democratic, this place. But Ches Reavie, the way he hits it, he's playing some good golf this year. I have a feeling he'll be around Sunday. So give me Ches as a sleeper, please.
Ches as a sleeper. You got it. Kyle Porter, your sleeper is?
I got Russell Henley. Again, this is a place that Data Golf compares very statistically, at least, very favorably to Muirfield Village. And Russell Henley finished T7 at the Workday Charity Open. I don't think he's had a top 10 since then, but how about this? Russell Henley, number 4 on tour in strokes gained on approach shots. He is striking the crap out of it. I mean, he's been really, really good. He's not putting well at all, But
You
again,
haven't learned, have you? Come on, man.
what do you mean?
He's hitting it great, but hasn't putted well at all.
Yeah, those are the guys to pick.
Okay, go for it.
I am Russell Henley, 50-1. Let's do it.
I'm also going to take a guy who plays well from tee to green, and that is Dylan Fratelli, who I believe is 70-1 at the moment. He is gaining over a stroke per round from tee to green since the restart. That is 9th on tour, not 9th in this field, 9th on tour of any golfer who has played as many rounds as he has. He finished 33rd last week. He's got back-to-back top 25s before that at the 3M Open and the Memorial. Give me a guy who has won a golf tournament in the last, 18 months. He didn't get to defend his John Deere Classic title this year, won it last year. I'll take Fratelli at 70. And Greg, you also have a 70-1 golfer.
A 71 golfer who has also played. There are some interesting parallels here. One, he has played well at Muirfield Village, tied 31st at Workday, tied 6th at the Memorial, and it's Henrik Norlander. He also came in tied 23rd at the 3M Open. He was tied 12th before the trip to Muirfield. He was so he's playing some really good golf. One advantage he has is he's accurate off the tee, so he's 10th in driving accuracy. He makes a fair amount of birdies, about 3.87, which is a little low, but this is a sleeper. So I think Henrik Norlander is a guy who's had great putting weeks recently. He's playing well, and he's 46 approach the green for the year. And again, I'm going with a guy who's playing really well coming in. He's got some momentum. He's got to be confident. And I like the statistical analysis as well.
Top 10 locks. I'm going to take Patrick Reed. Mentioned it earlier. I like the way he can fill it up. I like the way he can putt. He's kind of just lurking up there as one of the top 5 favorites in this field. Mark, who is your top 10 lock?
I've got to give this guy some love. No one ever does. He's putting together a fantastic season. He's got a game that would work around here. Putt's awesome. Brendan Todd, please. 4-1. I'll have it all day long.
Wait, nobody gives him any love?
No, he's the kind of guy that he's around the lead on Saturday afternoon, and everyone then writes him off. And the guy's put together a stellar season. He's got a thoroughly legitimate shot of potentially lifting the FedEx Cup, and he's in contention. Everyone raves about it. Then they write him off when it comes to who's picking winners for the weekend. And then when he finishes 15th, they're like, "Oh, that's another nice week by Brendan Todd." No, this guy's good, and I'm going to give him some respect.
Well, how is that different from reality? Like, the reality is he doesn't play well on Sundays, and he's having a great year. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah, good point. But I'd also like someone to give him a little respect, because there was only one event that he hasn't played his way out, that he played his way out of it, and that was Travelers, if my memory serves me. Otherwise, he's put together good final rounds and just gotten overtaken by folks, which happens.
He wasn't great at Southwind, TPC Southwind.
What did he shoot there?
I don't remember. I
think he shot 75, and he shot 75 at Travelers as well.
Point taken. Yeah, I'll capitulate. You're right, but I'm giving him extra love. How's that sounding?
Well, I'm going to give him a little bit more love in about 2 minutes. But before we get there, Kyle, who is your top 10 lock?
I got Webb. It's like the worst and best bet in sports because your odds are terrible, but it's definitely going to happen. So, yeah, I like Webb.
And Greg, you can actually add a little respect on the name of Brendan Todd. He's your top 10 lock, right?
Yeah, I'm going to throw him in there too. I think it's a great course setup for him. And also, if you want to hear some words of his, take a listen to A New Breed of Golf on Wednesday morning. He's coming on the show, so I can't wait to hear his thoughts. And I think he is a stud. I think he's driving it really well. He's rolling the ball really well. So driver and putter this week, going to go pretty well. And Brendan Todd is playing great. He's a great player. So love him this week.
Tell Brendan Todd I said, what up? He is my pick to win. I'm going to throw a little respect on the name. I run a very similar model, Kyle, that you were referencing earlier, and I would make the argument that this is one of the better setups for Brendan Todd that we could have gotten all year. He's already got 2 wins under the belt. It is not a stacked field. This feels like a Brendan Todd victory. He's 35-1, courtesy of our friends over at William Hill. So I'm going to take him to win this golf tournament. Mark, I would like to hear your pick to win, please.
There's not a lot of things I know for sure, but I know this. Webb Simpson at Sedgefield is a given. The guy over there he's unbelievable. As I mentioned earlier, he named one of his daughters Winnie after the event. He got his first win around here. He went to school just down the road. I mean, there's so many parallels that seem to fit with Webb Simpson here. And in previous one and done leagues, I've saved him for this week all of the time, and he's always come through. There's always two things I do: Webb, Wyndham, Rory Tour Championship, and I'm doing the same stuff this year.
There you go. That's the one and done strategy we were looking for. Greg, you actually, you and Mark are on the same page this week.
Yeah, I'm going Webb too. I think this is Webb Simpson on the golf course that it's probably the top Webb golf course. And there may be some arguments to that, but I think this is probably the top Webb golf course. And this is Webb's, I would say, probably his best season. Maybe 2011, 2012 could put up a good fight against it. But I think Webb is the best player he's ever been right now. And I think he's going to show up on the golf course that he likes the most.
All right, gentlemen. Oh, no, Kyle. Sorry. Your pick to win.
Trying to get rid of me.
This
is Webb's best. 2011, slightly better in terms of strokes gained, Greg. So good call there. I'm
Nice job, Greg.
Huh? What?
Go ahead.
Oh, you just said nice job, Greg. Yeah, I'll take the
nice
applause
job,
there. Thanks, everyone.
I'll go with Paul Casey. Played great last week. He has played well here before, like we talked about earlier. I think he finished in the top 15 last year, and he is putting really bad, even by Paul Casey standards. He's lost, I got it here, 0.7 strokes per round with his putter, he's usually around 0. Like, he's like a 0 putter, which, by the way, did you hear, did any of you guys hear Colin Morikawa talk about how he wants to be a 0 putter? Did you hear that, Rick?
No, I didn't, but I would have loved to have heard that.
Yeah, he was talking about strokes gained and wanting, like, trying to be like 0 essentially, because everything else kind of carries the day. So yeah, I like Paul Casey because he's not going to remain like he's going to start putting better at some point, because we have 10 years worth of evidence that says that he will. And I think the ball striking, it just looked so easy at TPC Harding Park. Like, he just looked throughout the entire, he never looked tired. He never looked fatigued. Like, he was just lights out the whole time. Didn't make enough putts, but I don't know. I like him a lot this week, especially at 20-1. That seems like a kind of a long number for him.
Yeah, especially with the kind of top-heavy nature of this field. I'll save the drama. I picked Todd in one and done. Greg and Mark obviously on the same page with Weber, and we've got a send to help situation. I think. Are you trying to flag us? Do we need to actually send someone over there? Who do you have here?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I was gonna like try to sneak this past you guys and then flaunt it on the weekend. So here's the reason I picked him. I'm off this weekend. I'm off Thursday through Sunday, and I haven't been off in, I don't know, 3 months, whatever, on the weekend. So Spieth is gonna be in it. He's gonna play well. He's probably gonna win. I've had like 2 weekends off the last 4 years, and one of them was his Travelers Championship win. when he holed out. It was unbelievable. So yeah, I'm going with Spieth. I can't not pick Spieth in a season, and I'm not going to pick him in the playoffs.
If he wins this week, you just got to take off every weekend. He'll be back to the world's number one.
That'll go well. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Guys, I got to do this. All right. And our best bets of the week, I'll go first. Lucas Glover, I believe to be the guy who has missed 2 cuts in a row, but has been priced the worst out of everybody. I think he's been punished by those 2 missed cuts. He's been great in the restart. I'm taking him to finish in the top 20 at 3.5 to 1. Greg, you're picking a couple of guys. What do you got here?
Yeah, this is a unique one. I typically do matchups for my best bet. But I feel like there's nobody to pick on this week. So I'm stumped in the matchups, but there's one I really like, and it's Webb or Patrick Reed to win. I'll have to double check the odds on that, but Webb or Reed to win. I think these are 2 really good players. really good putters, especially. And I think there we go, plus 650. So I think it's an interesting, fun bet this week.
That's a Kyle Porter special. He usually picks one of these two guys to win.
For sure.
All right, Kyle, I really like the guy that you have chosen here. I have a stat to back this up after you reveal this.
Yeah, so Harris English can't stop finishing in the top 20. I mean, he's just been a top 20 machine. He's having the best season of his career as well in terms of strokes gained, and he's kind of flown under the radar. He doesn't get talked about a ton. He kind of popped on the leaderboard a little bit at the PGA Championship last week, and yeah, I like him to finish in the top 10 at 3-1. Again, I said he's been finishing in the top 20. It's a little bit of a lesser field this week, so I'm kind of banking on that he'll rise up a little bit into that top 10.
Since the restart, Harris English has averaged 1.63 strokes gained per round. That is the best mark of anyone in this field. Think about that. Webb Simpson's in this field. Tommy Fleetwood, Patrick Reed, they're all here. The best guy since the restart has been Harris English. There you go.
It's great.
I think that'll do it, boys. Wyndham Championship coming at you. We'll be coming at you all week, round by round recaps. Let me thank Mark Immelman. You can find him at Mark_Immelman. Let me thank Greg DuCharme. You can find him at The Real GFD. Let me thank Kyle Porter. You can find him at Kyle Porter CBS. Let me thank producer Jacob. What up, producer Jacob? And I'm at Rick Rungood. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.